Oh, hi everyone, and welcome to the Scratticus Academy. We are back with Dunera, the penultimate episode of Dunera. So before we get started, please check out some of the links that are going to come up in chat now. Go check out our Discord. There's a channel literally just for Daughters of Dunera where we love to go scream into the abyss and hear theories and such about this game and its wonderful players. Also, we have wonderful sponsors in the form of Magecam Press, which you can see us using the Dark Matter material in Argo 37 on a Thursday, and also the Deck of Many that have amazing sort of the moving magic cards, which you can see. And also go and what's I call it? Oh my gosh, my brain today. Yes, go check out Humblewood. Sorry, my brain is very fluffed, as I said to the players. I've written 10 pages for this today. So let's start by heading around and saying hi to everyone. So we're going to start with the lovely Jay Gons Gold. Oh, hi.
Oh, hi, Alice. Hi, chat. I am Jay, or Jay Gons Gold, and I'll be playing Paula Packer, the librarian dancer, who may or may not have just seen her favorite student in the form of an evil shadow creature. So, ouch.
Okay. I'm sure it's fine. Then we're going to hop down to the lovely Tall School. Oh, hi.
Hi, I am Tall Squall. I am playing Tolan Folk. And Tolan's maybe done a really bad thing. He has been taken into the depths of the church, saying that he's going to tell them all about stuff and things that happened 8 years ago and why he is known as the Blightbringer and lost his magic. So, that's going to be fine. Just fine. Perfectly fine, right? It's going to be fine.
It's fine. It's all fine. And last but certainly not least, Mal.
Oh, hi, I'm Mal Hidale. I'll be playing Reese Blackash. What do we know about him? He's a wanderer, and he mentioned last time that he might explore dark places, maybe? The church seems like a good place to start.
It does. It does. Perfect. Thank you. Julie will be joining us very soon. But otherwise, please go check her out at JGrape Art on Twitter and all her wonderful art stuff, as she did the poster for this show, and I love it. So, where we left off last week, Reese had headed into the church, Tolan had headed into the church, and Paula was stood outside her apartment facing this shadow. But heading down the streets of Carnan, everything is quiet. The vines creep up into the buildings and carpet sort of as they creep into the shops, into every nook and cranny. They are almost a carpet of light, almost like a soft glow, more than anything. As we follow the cobble paths past broom bindings, the sign is still outside. The doors are locked up and they're bolted shut. The air is very cool, but it's very still, like a calm before a storm. Past the glow of the season tree, where the moon peeks through its branches, its silver light bathing the cobble paths, you follow them down these winding paths, fireflies dotting in the air. Past Tolan's shop. It's dark. There is not much life here. A few plants sort of sprout and grow out of the cracks, but not many people set foot down where the blight happened. You follow them down these paths. We've passed Tolan's. We've passed Broom Bindings. We've passed the dance studio. Heading in a well-known direction. That quirky little shop. That shop that you're not too sure is a home or a bookshop. Aggie's house. Jeremy and Jemima sit by the window. They're purring, content. Their tails sort of flicking from side to side as they sort of squint their eyes as they look out of the window. There are no passers-by here, and the house is quiet. Inside the house, there are 2 watchers on the bottom floor. They've gone through the kitchen. They've gone through her living room. They're not too sure exactly what they're looking for. But soon they come to a stop. And they stand in that hallway. A tall one lights up a cigarette and takes a long drag before exhaling the cloud of smoke almost over his partner, who doesn't seem to notice. And the grandfather clock stands near the first foot of the stairs. His younger companion stands there with a pistol in her hand, sort of holding it, looking it back and forth. So do we do it here, or are we taking her somewhere else? More private? You know, just get it over and done with real quick. And there's a pause as the older, sort of maybe slightly more grizzled watcher with that cigarette takes another drag. Do you hear that? What's that noise? And the grandfather clock has started to tick. The hands on the face of the clock after many years have started to move. Something's triggered it. Some words were said, and now it's been set in motion. The 2 cats flump off the windowsill. Sort of a heavy crash more than anything. It's not elegant. And they weave in between the watcher's legs as they sort of thunder upstairs, their paws creaking on the floorboards all the way up. And they head into the study, walk in boldly as they see who they love, Aggie, still sat on that rickety chair, which creaks as she sort of shifts herself briefly on top. There's a bruise on her cheek. She sort of moves her wrists from where the binds have made them sore and raw. The silver plait has fallen forward, hiding that small, almost droplet of blood that's trickling down from her forehead. 2 guns from 2 other watchers pointed at her. But from downstairs, the grandfather clock chimes. And it finally hits the hour. A small smile spreads across her face. Keeping her head down, she chuckles. Oh, well done, Topham. And we pan away to Polla. Polla, you are stood on this balcony, face to face with this shadow creature, and it's looking at you. It's just reached into its pocket and pulled out the keys and dropped them over the side of the balcony. And as it does so, it turns and watches them fall, and you can hear that plop as they hit the water. It straightens up. It looks around again. Same pattern as before. almost as if it's confused as it starts reaching into its pockets again, as if it's trying to find another set of keys. But it can't. And it pauses and looks at you and tilts its head to the side.
Hello?
There is no reply, but it does tilt its head to the other side, as if it's trying to understand you.
You're not like the others, are you? And Paula will take a step closer towards it.
It doesn't move. It stands almost in a pose you recognize. Normally this pose is hunched over, carrying piles of books. But again, it reaches for its pockets, pats it down. You see a lingering moment where it holds a hand over its chest, where it pauses, it grips, lets go again, hand down, and repeats again.
Noah? Is that Noah? Is that you? Are you there?
It takes a step forward, and for the first time you hear a sound. Sort of, it's not really a word. It's as if something is trying to talk, but it can't. And the sound is repeated over and over again. It doesn't reach out, but it does keep reaching across the chest, gripping again, looking at the hand as if it can't find something, and drop again.
Paula will take another step. I'm gonna move closer to you, if that's okay, Noah.
As you say Noah and step closer, you see it look up, almost with a recognition, for a brief moment, before it shakes its head, puts its hand in its pocket, tries to pull out keys, and still makes the motion to drop them over the side. And there's a slight crack in this voice. And could you roll me an intellect check, please?
Eek.
You can't really decipher what he's saying. It's so broken. It's like they're trying to say something with their mouth and it's coming from their chest.
Noah, did you lose your Inanakwe?
Reaches up, touches its chest, and you get that you can't see any real features of Noah other than the way he stands, the way he holds himself. But you recognize that action that reaching for his salamander in his top pocket, the one where the pen always leaked.
At that point, Paula will stop inching closer and will try to walk up cautiously, but walk up to this shadow of Noah.
It reaches out a hand. At first, it's like when someone wanders through darkness or a haze or a mist, as if it's trying to find their way. And then it turns its hand up, almost offering it to you.
Is this gonna hurt?
It doesn't move.
And kind of like when you're about to get a shot and they tell you to breathe as you're about to get the needle's about to go in. Paula does that as she puts her hands on his, expecting it to hurt.
You reach out and you take this hand. And for a moment, there is pain, but it's not like you felt before. It's not like when that one grabbed you in the alley. This feels like sticky ice when it's cold. More like you're stuck there for a moment, and it's the extreme temperature that hurts. And for a moment you make a connection. It's like there's something left. Like this is new. Could you roll me another intellect check, please?
I'm going to use an advantage.
Okay. What is happening today? You feel this cold, and it's like it starts to creep up your arm. Almost like cold water washing over you. But for a moment, you're not too sure how long this takes. But you're looking through Noah's eyes. There's a moment where you recognize that whistling, that humming, that sound you used to hear every morning as Noah rolled in late to the library. That song he used to whistle. But it's like you're whistling it. And through his eyes, you're walking down the street. One you know. It's one that many students take upon leaving the academy. And it's slow, and you can feel the breeze on your face, or his face. And then something grabs you from behind. Something muffles that song. And then there's another, like a jump in time. A hazy vision. Sort of almost like when you're nauseous. When the image distorts, almost like as if coming round or rocking or being moved or carried. You see a rising sun on a robe as it walks towards him. Darkness again. You see that little red glow. A small salamander crawls over your knee, Noah's knee, as he sits in a chair. You feel a blazing pain in your head, like a headache. And it's like it's behind the eyes, and it starts and it grows, almost like as if a headache could consume your entire body. And then you realize it takes over. It becomes uncontrollable. You can see Noah's hands in front of you as if they were your own, clenching, trying to move. You see the salamander sort of thrashing about, trying to crawl up Noah's chest, back into that pocket, that little sort of safety net. But it can't get there. It's like it's fading in and out. It's slowly becoming solid. So when this other hand grabs it, it can't get away. And then there's an ear-piercing scream. And it's like it blocks every other sound out that's going on. And soon you're back on that balcony, holding on to this hand, and you realize it's you that's screaming, as this cold has crept all the way up, almost at the expense of him passing on this knowledge.
Oh, Noah. I'm so sorry that happened to you. And Paul will give Noah a hug, regardless of the cold.
Can you roll me another intellect check, please?
You're kidding. This is ridiculous. I should have called him. Forget it. All right. Next time, auto success.
You feel, as you hug him, that it's like hugging Noah. And that maybe this was his last ounce of energy. You feel like this was new. This has only just happened. What you fail to notice is it leave him as he slowly starts to stiffen and stand upright and loses all of Noah's form. We're going to hop over to Reese. Reese, you're stood in this corridor in the church. And you've been stood here for a while. Matthias hasn't come out yet, but you haven't seen anyone else go in that direction. And you know it was a room. It was not necessarily a room beyond a room. And not a single other person has passed you in this hallway. There is no churchgoer. Astrid sits by your side, very calmly. And there is a moment where you think there is a change in the air. Could you roll a intellect check, please?
I'm gonna use it. Would listening work?
Listening could work.
Okay, I'm gonna use an advantage because roll 20's already been kind of mean.
Roll 20 is mean today.
10.
It is mean today. You stand there for a moment, and you think you hear a sound. It's like your ears perk up, almost just like Astrid's. And down at the other end of the corridor is that woman again, whose hair was blonde but changed to the color of Astrid's fur, And she looks at you almost nervously from the other end of the corridor in these long blue silks. And she stands and she watches. What would you like to do?
I think Reese would look at the woman and say, take me to the Archdeacon or wherever Matthias went.
And she looks at you for a moment very calmly. There's an odd air of serenity about her. She steps forward. She walks towards you. She doesn't enclose quickly. Please listen. I am no member of the church, but something is about to happen, and it's going to change everything. Do you understand?
No, I have no idea what's going on here.
And she nods almost sadly. We are about to be at the center of it. There is a darkness creeping in. And you, Reese Blackash, are going to start to feel it. It has fallen upon you to be the guide. I am no member of this church.
What do you mean by guide?
She takes another step forward, and you can see there's a strange look to her. It's almost like a woman with features you've never seen before. It's an odd look. Very, very bright eyes. Very tan skin, very red hair. You, Tolan, Polla, and Charlie, you must leave. You follow the stars, you head north where the air is thick with magic. The magpies are roosting, but soon they'll leave the nest. You are the guide, the one from the north.
What about everyone else in the city?
And there's another sort of sad, it's not a smile, it's not a frown, it's a very neutral look. I don't know. I don't know. But you can feel it, that there's something wrong. There's something different inside you. She senses it too, and she looks down at Astrid, who has sort of got to her paws, like, and not stood in front of you and between you both, but very much at your side. You faced it only once before. Do you remember?
Every day.
I said it was not your fault. And she pauses. In a way, it wasn't. When it happened, you felt it. You felt what is in you. It's how she came to you. And she kneels before Astrid again. It's why you both met.
If I'm supposed to guide them, and you seem to know so much, where's Tolan? Where's Charlie?
I know what I'm allowed to see. Tolan is in the church. Charlie is beneath the church. As is the young girl you saved. They are not going to be the last to enter the church this night.
Can you take me to Tolan?
She sort of nods, a very slow nod. I can.
Sounds like we better get moving then.
Follow me. And she almost glides away. We're going to move in a moment over to Charlie. But before that, somewhere else in Carnan, walking along the streets just outside of the dance studio, which she's left, ignoring the words of Avric and the others, Jin walks towards the church. There is a determination in her walk. Her daughter is in their walls. The stork striding alongside her. There is a flicker of blue light in her fingertips. Her phone rings. It rings a few times before she acknowledges it, picks it up and answers. Yes, I'm on my way there now. Have you called her? I'll meet you outside. And she hangs up and continues to walk towards the church. Charlie, you feel hazy, is a light word for it. And it's a strange feeling. A feeling of drowsiness, sleep. You're not too sure exactly how you came to be here. Your eyes are heavy, your head hurts. You think you've probably either knocked it on something or someone's knocked you with something. And your vision is blurry. But you feel you're in a room that is cool, and it sort of smells musty. Very much like the tunnels you were in when you were escaping. But you can hear voices in the room with you. What would you like to do?
I'm gonna pretend to still be asleep but try and listen to these voices.
Okay, can you roll an intellect check for me, please? Is this going to be the nat 20 or nat 1?
As I do.
I'm shocked that you have something that isn't one of those things.
It's not an extreme. Only mostly.
You realise you're sat in a chair. You can't quite realise much else, but for some reason you're uncomfortable. But you can almost strain to hear those voices. You see blotches of colour, more than anything. You can definitely make out the colours of the Watcher uniform. You are very aware you are restrained. But it doesn't seem to be just by the chair. There's something else. And you hear the voices of these people in the room. There seems to be maybe 3 voices. 1 female, 2 male. You hear the female voice. The one that you start to think maybe you heard somewhere before. On the beach. In fact, it was the last voice you heard on the beach. You hear her. Where is the other girl? And you can hear a muffling from the others. You hear Tuva's name mentioned. You hear one of the men. That little one's the right chaos causer. Bloodied my nose, she did. And that female voice very calmly again. Where is she? She's in the dividing room. Thank you. And you hear footsteps walk out of the room. You hear a door open and you hear a door close. And you know that there are 2 still in here with you. They don't seem to pay much attention to you right now. One of them you definitely recognize Christopher's voice from the shop. Could you make another intellect check for me, please?
Something cool.
On 4. You realize you're sat in this chair and you're restrained. And as your vision starts to come back a little bit, maybe you're looking down and your eyes are just focusing. You see lights. You see screens. Almost like heart rate monitors. Screens showing information. And then you realize you have lots of wires and things hooked up to you, taped to you, but like reading things. Not putting anything in or anything out, it's monitoring you. And you hear footsteps walk slightly closer towards you. And Christopher's voice, almost a sickly voice, rings through. Wakey, wakey, Charlie.
How close is he?
About a foot away.
I have to try and like headbutt him or something.
Roll a might for me, please.
Okay.
Nat 20, come on. Okay, it's not a nat 20, but you definitely catch him, and you just hear oh, like almost like as you see a hand go up as your vision really comes into focus, and you see Christopher not hunched over, but his hand is over his nose as he sort of moves it and wrinkles it around. You're awake. How are you feeling?
Oh, wonderful.
Good. And you see that he has very, very piercing blue eyes now that you can see them up close.
What is this?
And he pauses and looks at you for a moment, almost confused. You don't know.
What am I supposed to know? All I know is you came and like kidnapped me off some beach where I was collecting firewood. In fact, I've never met you in my life before. Well, before like yesterday. And now I'm strapped to a chair. And yeah, no, this is not a usual occurrence.
And he smiles and nods. I suppose that's true. It took us a long time to find you, Charlie. You disappeared like that.
I'm good at that.
Yes. Yes, you are. We thought Siren would have been more difficult to find than you. Thank you, Sphinx, for those donations. And he's sort of now close to you, keeping a safe distance now. As he sort of still moves his nose a little bit, as you can see, it's almost, he's got a little red mark sort of forming between his eyes. But he moves his head almost snake-like to look at you. Like he's really taking in every detail on your face. It was very impressive when you fought off the shadow people in the streets. That, you know, that wave thing you did. See, I can't do that. I just know how to find people.
Cool, I guess.
But you realize how much energy you have in there, right?
Yeah. Too much a lot of the time.
No, it's good. It's very, very good. Very useful.
Yeah, when you find a use for it.
He smiles. We have a use. And there's almost like a realization goes across his face as he pulls a chair up to sit opposite you. You don't remember. You don't remember why you left the academy.
I mean, I remember how I left.
Do you remember what you did?
Fuzzy.
No wonder you were difficult to find. He sort of almost chuckles to himself, more as like a realization than anything. He's like, gosh, I thought I was losing my touch.
Why? What about it?
You're going to be very useful for us, Charlie.
And if I don't want to?
He raises an eyebrow.
You've given me very little to go on. In fact, this is really not how you make friends or allies or like even ask for anything.
I'm not asking for it, and I don't want friends or allies. I need this. And he taps on the side of his head. And you can hear the creak in his chair as he leans forward. I need you to do what you did at the academy. And we're going to hop back over to Paula. Paula, you're stood on this balcony with your arms around this very rigid now Shadow, Noah, and almost for a moment where his hands rest on your shoulders, you feel almost heavily where his fingertips are. like you can feel your energy slowly being sapped. And in the side of your ear where your head rests, you hear sniffing. As Noah leans forward and starts to sniff the air around you.
No. And I'll reflexively push Noah off of me. Or Noah.
You push him off and he stumbles backwards.
Are you still in there at all? Noah?
He turns and starts to walk down the stairs away. And for a moment, there's that flash in your mind once more of a red salamander sort of almost like fizzling in and out, becoming incorporeal, sort of struggling and fighting, and then blazing almost as if it was you looking directly at the sun. That symbol of the church, the rising sun, as he walks away.
I don't think there's anything I can do for him at this point. But maybe the church can. And Paula will start making her way towards the church.
You can watch him go. You can see him walk back towards the church. It's strange, he's just walking out in the street, but there's no one on the streets. You see him pass for a moment underneath the glow of the season tree. And for a brief moment, you see what's left of Noah. It's not much. Very sunken in eyes, very tired, very withered. For a split second. The eyes have no color at all. And almost as he walks, you see it fading more and more as he heads towards the church.
Paula will, once she realizes that he's also walking towards the church, she'll actually just like walk next to him, like alongside him, just like keeping pace with him.
As you go, you realize he can't see you at all anymore. But he does sniff that air. And it's like he started breathing through his teeth as he becomes more hunched over. And there's a small doorway off to the side of the church. It's open. You see him wander in.
I'll follow him through the doorway.
Okay. Back up at Paula's apartment. Her mum is packing. She's sort of shoving Felonius off the side of the kitchen table as he sort of swipes at things, and she's sort of talking like, "Stop it." And a phone rings. Her phone vibrates on the side, and she ignores it the first time. She's doing as she's told. Paula told her to pack and leave. That's what she's doing. And fighting Felonius can tend to add to the time scale. It rings again. And again. And finally she picks it up. There's a shocked look on her face as she puts the phone to her ear. "I thought you were dead." I don't have my gear anymore. I can't do it. And there's a long pause. She's headed to the church. Bring my stuff, I'll be there soon. And she hangs up, goes into the back room, and gets changed. And now we're going to hop over to Tolan. Tolan, you've been led in this church. And they've taken you to a room. It's a very plain room. There's not much in it other than a table and a few chairs. You can see the sort of religious memorabilia on the walls, the huge rising sun painted. It looks old though. This looks like a very old room, maybe where the church first began. And you're shown into this room by this watcher that led you there. Please take a seat.
I will want confirmation that Aggie has been set free and has gotten to safety before I say a word.
Of course. And he makes a phone call. As he's doing this, another person walks into the room. No hair, completely shaved, painted white, with gold dripping down their shoulders, in these simple white robes. A seer walks in and stands in the room and nods to you briefly. And the watcher closes the phone. She is free.
You haven't really built my trust over the course of this evening. You're just going to... You have ways to make sure that I'm telling the truth, but I have no way to let you to know that you've told me the truth. I want to speak with her. I want to speak with her far away from any of your people.
You can't do that.
Well, then I can't tell you anything.
And there's a long pause as the seer stands
That was
there.
the deal. She gets to safety, confirmed.
And the seer stands there. The watcher's still quiet. It's almost like he's a younger watcher who doesn't really know what's going on. And the seer pauses. The machine in your shop. I am intrigued by it. Why did you build it?
What makes you think I built it?
You used it.
Again, no more words until Aggie is proven safe.
And the seer pauses and looks over to the watcher.
You literally had guns on her and handled her roughly over the course of the evening. Why would I ever take your word that she would be safe?
And the seer doesn't look back at you. This man, as he talks to the watcher, has no Inarquay. He did have one, but it was lost in that accident. And then the seer turns to look at you, still addressing the watcher. We know what happens when a person loses their Inarquay. They lose half of themselves. Some lose their minds. They can't cope. They give up. They stop living. Or they become a shell of what they once were. Yet here you are, with no Inakwe. But you're here.
For someone who thinks they know the truth, for you to not recognize that I am just a shell, that I have given up. The reason why I'm here is because of one lady who you injured this evening. So I'd like you to take just a moment to consider what I have done when I have caused harm to others, to try to make right for someone I loved. Just try to imagine what I'll do to someone who has hurt someone I loved on purpose. You think what happened to the Gardenia district was bad. I'll melt this church to the ground. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but it will be my last act if that woman is not taken to safety and let free. Are we clear here?
And the seer makes a look towards the watcher, who nods at the seer and disappears out of the room. The seer remains very calm, but you know this. It's like just a neutral face. It's almost like the emotions don't even reach the surface. And pauses. We have not got Aggie in our grasps. As he looks like he's reaching out to something else, like he's thinking. I am not interested in Agatha. I am not truly interested in your machine. I am interested in you and what you've done. Not the blight. Not the blight bringer that everyone seems to know. And the seer moves, and you can see now that their hands are also painted white. The gold paint that's dripped down, almost as if it's just been left to run. You are a shell, but not in the way I mean, and you know that. Now the Watcher has left the room. Let's talk about Averick. And we're going to hop back over to Reese. And Reese, you are being led through these corridors. This woman keeps a fairly quick pace. You do see all of these other churchgoers sort of there. There's not a lot. You get the feeling that as it's nighttime, there really are a lot of them that are in sleeping quarters or attending other duties. You do also notice as she moves through them, that's exactly what she does. She moves through them. They don't seem to notice her.
Do they notice me and Astrid?
They don't seem to notice you at all. And can you make an intellect check for me, please?
8.
You notice that the walls around you, the stone walls, They're almost sandy in color, very weathered. You can see notches in them. You can see where signs have been hung once, but they're distorting. They're almost like a heat wave moving. In fact, as you look around at the people, they look distorted as well. And you realize you can pass through them. Very much like she is. As she leads you down these corridors.
He's not sure what's happening, so he just puts a hand on Astrid as they follow.
Astrid sort of gives you a reassuring nudge to your thigh, and almost as you hold on to her, she pulls you a little bit further along. And as you do, you can see some of these priests. Some of them don't say a word. They seem silent. And she pauses for a moment. Tolin is on the 2 floors down. We must go down the staircase. However, I can help you pass unnoticed here, but not after this level. The silenced are on the next level. They cannot speak, but they see everything. It's why they cannot speak. And she sort of offers a hand out for you to walk side by side with her.
He'll hesitantly take it.
And it's a gradual walk down these stone steps. And as you head down, you can feel the temperature drop. It gets cooler and cooler. You see some priests walk past, some priestesses. And then there's one in slightly different colored robes. And you very much see this person stop and watch you go by. And so does another and another. They do not say a word. They do not even mouth words as you head down. Astrid, you can see a sort of a curl up of the lip. And you can hear a slow rumble in her chest. And her heckles go up. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
I think mostly he'd try and keep Astrid calm.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't really like what's going on either, but if either one of them choose to start a fight now, they are probably not going to make it to Tolan in time, so...
You keep moving. And this woman, you see her hair change again. And it sort of starts to go very dark black color. And she looks to you. As she walks you down the flight of steps. I go no further. But you remember the place where it happened.
Yes.
You must return there. I think you always knew you must return there.
I think you're right.
And there's a smile as she sort of bends down and looks to Astrid. And sort of takes this dire wolf by the cheeks effectively and gives them like a rub. You can hear her just say, "I'll see you again." And for the first time, other than anyone else, effectively gives this huge dire wolf a bop on the nose, and Ashley does nothing. And she stands up. If you find the magpies, you'll need to pay your way. And she holds out a hand, upturned like that, as if something's in it, and holds it out to you.
Reese holds out both hands.
And you feel the cold of metal fall as there is a solid silver coin with a magpie on it. And as you hold it in your palm, this sort of engraved magpie with a blade between its beak, for a moment does one quick motion of a flap of its wings before landing on a branch on the coin and resting there. And she's gone.
I think Reese just, when he realizes she's gone, he doesn't even put the coin away. He just clutches it in like his fist. And he looks down at Astrid. Find Tolan. We need him.
And her big sort of brown eyes look up at you and immediately blink. Her nose is to the floor and she starts to sniff and start tracing wherever Tolan went. We are now going to head back to Charlie. Charlie, you're in this room face to face with Christopher. And you get the feeling he's not trying to wind you up. He's just an annoying person. Yeah, he is genuinely fascinated. And he leans in. How much do you remember, Charlie?
She doesn't answer him right away, but she does kind of subconsciously look around for Al. Is he in view?
Al, you can feel like tucked underneath your jacket.
Okay.
He's not far from you at all. If anything, he is staying hidden.
Okay. It's like a tiny, tiny sigh of relief. She's been glaring back at him this whole time as he's been staring at her. And she kind of subconsciously like leaned back as he leaned in. I mean, I remembered enough that it was awful and I'd rather that never happen again, but that doesn't seem to be enough for you.
Sort of blinks a few times. And sighs. So how much did Siren get rid of?
He didn't take that away.
Interesting.
The shit I don't remember, I think, is my own horrified brain's doing. Siren just taught me how to ideally make it not happen again.
Why were you out on the beach that night when
Tonight?
The man with you walked into nothingness and disappeared. Was that you?
No. No, there's... I don't know what that was. But he wasn't afraid.
Charlie, at the academy, you hurt people. I know you don't remember. And there's like a curl up at the side of his mouth. I remember. I'll never forget. And you can see as he pulls the top of his collar down, there is a burn like a lightning scar there around his neck. And you can see where it disappears beneath his uniform.
Alice, how old is Christopher?
He's exactly the same age as you.
Okay. Picturing him a little different. But, oh. I think the realization kind of comes to her slowly.
He does look older. You realize because of some of these markings, you can probably tell that he has a very, very handsome face, but it does look slightly warped as if the skin has been pulled on one side, which maybe makes him look slightly older.
Kind of settle back, and if anything, like lean kind of against Al, protectively. Know that it wasn't my doing.
Wasn't it though? You almost killed me, Charlie.
You wanted me kicked out.
For good reason. Though actually that was my sister. I was more intrigued than anything.
I never did anything to you before. I was just going to school trying to figure out how to control my fucking magic.
Mm-hmm. And you couldn't, clearly.
It was getting better.
And pauses. Out of the four of us, I did the best. You had magic. I didn't. And you attacked me. But I have magic now. Now we're equal. Almost.
Gears are totally spinning and she's just trying to piece together what she does remember.
Could you roll an intellect check, please?
I'm gonna use an advantage. I have a bunch of those. That's not bad anyway, but we'll see. They're called. Okay.
You, for a moment, as you close your eyes, almost trying to remember, you remember the stone wall hitting your back, being shoved. How old are you here?
14, 15.
You remember this boy Chris from your class shoving you up against the wall. He's much taller than you. He had a growth spurt over the summer. And you know he's always had a thing against people who use magic. But you know it's because he wants it. It's not because he dislikes people with magic. You've seen him stand outside the classes, try to get in, try to learn. His twin sister Charlotte, would always tell him to leave it. But he never did. He never ever did. And you can't remember a lot right now, but you can feel that brick wall hitting your back and that flash, that heat building. At first at your core, you feel that static, that electricity, almost as if it's running down your arms and exploding out your fingertips. And that flash. But that's all you can remember right now. You can hear yelling. You recognize adults, professors yelling. But most of all, you hear the kids your age are around you screaming. And they calling you something as some of them try to get away. Some of them are screaming in agony, but you can't see it. Not yet. You hear a clicking. As Christopher's like, hello? You remember me yet? Come.
So what is this? Like some revenge?
No. No.
A little elaborate.
It's not. No. And he sort of looks shocked for a moment that you think that this is revenge. He's like, I'm a watcher now. I have a job. You have so much energy inside you. But you've muted it. You
said with reason.
Yes, for yourself. Think of
I
what
hurt
you
people.
could do.
What else does it do except like break things and
I'm not broken.
I am.
I'm not. He smiles.
Good for you.
I'm going to be honest with you, Charlie. We don't need you to make decisions. You're a great battery. I just wanted to chat with you first. However, I do have another appointment. If you don't mind. And he stands.
First,
Being dealt with. If it helps, out of courtesy, you know, like a old school friend courtesy, I've made sure your brother isn't on the list. He was always nice to me. Why what?
Where's the church going after people?
I'm just a watcher.
You don't tell you anything?
He pauses. I do as I'm told most of the time. It's my job. I'm sorry, Charlie. I really am. It's not going to be comfortable. But things like this, and he also rests his hand on his neck where that scar is, make you the person you're meant to be. I am a new age. I made magic. And I can control it.
I'm trying to think what I could possibly do.
He stands up. And he goes to leave. Keep an eye on her, will you? As the other watcher in the room just stands to attention.
I tried to use magic, could I? Or does that also feel like restrained?
No, you can try.
Okay.
She answered too fast. She answered way too fast. We're up against the wall. We're up against the wall.
No,
here,
I know.
man. We're up against the
I want to try the kind of alternate to the unnoticeable thing, the like disruption kind of broadcast, to see if I could disrupt any of the like mechanical stuff around me.
Okay. Yeah, roll for me, please.
Can I use an out of success?
You can. So, describe to me first of all what it looks like, what Charlie's trying to do.
As she's like, as he was kind of touching his own little scar, she was just clenching both of her fists, one of which is very heavily scarred from that same event. And it's partially the like mechanical things around her, like the monitors and things, and also she's trying to disrupt whatever restraints are on her right now.
Okay.
And it's essentially just like static building, like kind of from her hands up, as she's just frustrated and just wants out.
Okay. As you do this, that static, that lightning sort of energy, effectively, you can feel it really coursing through you, and it almost feels magnified for some reason. And as you're sort of clenching onto that chair, you can physically see it sort of start swirling around your arms, swirling around your hands, and you see it channel straight into all of these machines. And you see them light up, and they really start to power up. Some of the screens burst and shatter this glass across the room, making the other watcher jump. Christopher doesn't move, almost as if he's developed a resistance of being shocked by it, pun not intended. And He pauses for a moment and looks back, and around you this glass shatters through all of these screens. But you can see how this energy is being fed into these huge, almost like devices surrounding you. And he looks at you. That. Keep doing that. And he walks out and closes the door. What he doesn't see is you're an auto success. Is that where you've done this, it's blown one of the electrical fuses that were keeping your legs tied down. And we're gonna hop back over to Tolan.
Just like rocks in this chair and like
Tolan, you've been here, you've just received, you're in this room with this seer who stands very calm. There is no aggression here. You've seen seers before. It's almost like it's not that they don't have personality or emotions. It's very muted.
Tolan, I claim didn't they offer me a seat when I first walked in?
They did.
Tolan looks at them and goes, "You've had me up all night. I will take you up on your seat, and if we have a story to tell, a glass of water would be nice." And he goes over and sits down in whatever chair is there. And I'd like to take this opportunity to do my one action recovery roll.
Yes, of course.
Woo,
the way to do it. It's the way to do it.
With a 7. Nice. Out of a possible 7. Oof.
The seer, it's almost very odd seeing this, as the seer pours you a glass of water and pushes it on the table with this painted hand. You can see where the paint has dried and it cracks as it slides it along.
You do realize I have one thing to offer and to bargain here, and that is the information that I have. As soon as you have it, I understand my life is possibly forfeit, but...
Seer looks at you, confused.
I will ensure that Agatha's is safe before I talk.
We are not here to kill you, Tolan Folk.
I certainly would appreciate that. I also appreciate you might not allow me to walk freely or to have freedom after whatever you are planning here.
You are free to walk once our questions have been answered.
So I would like to know, is it my machine you're using, or did you find something else?
Pauses. It's not yours.
The machine I, as you claim, turned on.
It was an interesting design, so I've been told.
It was indeed. I'd never seen anything like it or heard of anything like it before.
I'm afraid I have not seen it for myself.
You really should. It's a marvel.
It's not what I'm interested in. And this seer doesn't sit, it stands, but then other than when you've seen them, all of them as a group sit at the table, you don't tend to see them sit.
You know, I've always had a theory about seers, as I was going through my questioning 8 years ago. Do you hear each other? Hear each other's thoughts? Share each other's... Is that how you check on the truth?
He pauses.
It's your little council behind the table, all connected.
Not as such.
Just
Sometimes
curious.
we are one mind.
All the seers or the whole church, the silent ones, they always intrigued me as well. The blessed.
They are blessed.
Do you hear them too, or become one mind with them as well?
No, the seers are their own separate group. The church is built of many levels, like the academy.
Do they have it here?
Your machine?
The artifact.
Which one?
The one that was once mine is apparently now yours.
Pauses again. Which one? The one that caused the problems? Or the one that whispers?
Tolan at that point realizes that the sphere was left at the beach house. Right. The one from 8 years ago that brought on the blight, that drained the Gardenia district and created the scar.
I said I have not seen it. I have heard it was here at one point. Whether it is still here, I do not know. It is not my department.
What I have to tell would certainly benefit from the visual aid of the machine.
Why?
Well, that's the real story, isn't it?
We don't intend to use it.
So it's not what is causing all of the interesting phenomenon in Kanan over the last few weeks.
The design, part of it is design.
Part of its design. Only part.
We have other things, Tolan.
Yes. That's fascinating.
The same way you created it for a different reason.
Oh, yes.
Things happen like that. You can never create something with wild magic and truly know what it's going to do. You can't control it. It's not what happens. Now, you've tried to control so much. You've done it very effectively, all for good cause and good reason. Does Averick know?
Averick knows he was in an accident.
No more?
He knows that it changed him. He lost his leg, of course.
It sort of raises another eyebrow. No more. Have you told anyone?
I've told the Seers everything I know. Until I hear about Aggie, we'll go no further.
I don't mean us, Tolan. I
I
already
understand what you mean. But I also am not saying anything more until I know Aggie is okay.
And he sort of closes his eyes and nods. This is a fair request.
I thought so. I just want the person who saved me to be safe.
And the seer blinks at you a few times. And you get a feeling almost that these aren't necessarily the people in charge. This is just a separate part of the church.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a long pause before there's a knock at the door. The seer again gives you a slow nod. Excuse me. And walks over to the door. Paula, you have headed into the church. You can see this shadow creature, Noah, head sort of down these winding steps. And it's going deeper into the church. This isn't the bit you've been into before. This isn't the huge mosaic tiles. This isn't anything grand. This is effectively a spiral staircase down. And you feel the temperature drop as you go.
This feels like a bad idea.
And you walk down and down. And soon, you hear voices. You hear voices of conversation, voices of question, as if there's priests and priestesses coming. Is there anything you'd like to do?
Am I still like in this stairwell area?
Yes. You can see corridors leading off onto it, but you are going down.
Does the Noah creature continue to go down, or does it seem to be following these voices at all? Or
It seems to be continuing down, but you also get the impression it doesn't have a real route, like it's wandering.
mm-hmm. Ugh, if I keep following you, I'm gonna end up in the old city. I can't keep doing this, and I'll kind of whisper yell to the creature, "Good luck, Noah," and I'm just gonna kind of like branch off and follow some of these voices that I'm hearing.
Would you like to make an intellect check?
Is this perception?
This is more of a listening.
Okay.
But in fact, no, you can use perception as well for a different.
Okay. I'll go with the perception, and I'll use an advantage too.
Okay. You can easily see around some of these corners. into some of these corridors, and you see a mixture of priests and you see a mixture of watchers. You see one watcher heading down another set of stairs down along the side of the corridor. It looks like he's been talking to one of the others. He's been handed something. As he walks up the stairs, he hands over a red backpack, which you recognize as Tuba's. And he hands it over to the other watcher. Get rid of it, will you? And heads back down the staircase. The watcher with the red backpack starts walking down the corridor in another direction. And you see him open a door and just throw it in there and close it again and continue walking down the corridor.
Well, I'm gonna find Tuva, but when I do, she'll probably want her backpack. So, and I'm gonna try to sneak to the room where I saw them throw the backpack.
Okay. Could you roll me a speed check, please?
Okay. Would careful movement apply here?
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm going to use another advantage.
Okay. Okay.
I am like cursed, apparently.
These dice.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what's going on today. Wow.
Wow.
You start to move along this corridor. And you slowly approach the door. As you head down this corridor towards the door, you hear a voice behind you. Excuse me. Excuse me. There's a watcher, the same one who chucked the bag in. You're right, you lost. You know it's after closing hours.
I imagine that like Paula is, as she's approaching this room, she's kind of like doing like the crouched over sneak thing. And as she hears that, she kind of turns and stands upright and like, oh, hi, kind of situation. Sorry, I'm lost. And this place is just quite a maze.
Yeah, you're very lost if you're down here. What are you doing down here?
I just saw someone head through the door and it looked like they were lost. You know, and they were going down those steps and they just kept going and going, and I was shouting for them and they were totally ignoring me, and I'm concerned for their well-being. But then I heard people talking up here, so that's the situation.
Who are you looking for?
No one in particular. I'm just trying to find a way up.
Do you mean out?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the word. Out.
Okay. Follow me. And he sort of like offers his arm to point you in the right direction.
Okay. Is this direction the way that I came, or is this somewhere a different direction?
This seems to be the direction you came.
Mm-hmm.
Come on then.
Yeah. I'm gonna go and I'll follow his motion like towards the stairs, and then once we get like closer to the staircase, I'll be like, oh, I recognize this is actually how I got down. You know what, I'll just take the stairs up. I've got it from here, thank you so much.
And he looks at you like, I think I really would rather guide you out, you know, in case you don't get lost again. I mean, I could get my friend to guide you out if that's easier. He can meet you at the top.
You know what? I think I'm good. I know my mom's around here. She's a watcher. So
Your mum? Who's your mum?
Oh, well, she used to be a watcher, but she's just here visiting her old friend. She's retired now. I mean, I'm old, so you can only imagine how old she must be. You know, I mean, but it's a big city, so you probably wouldn't know her. She used to work upstairs. So I'm gonna go.
What's her name?
Oh, it's you know, it's funny. It's funny because she goes by this nickname, and at work she goes by a nickname.
Roll an
No, I'm not
intellect
talking
check.
to Bixby's like freaking out.
Roll
she
an
just
intellect check for me.
she goes by Bixby. She goes by
It's like calling your mum Siri.
Actually, I'm gonna use an auto success.
Okay. He pauses. Looks at you, he's like, Bixby. Who the hell's Bixby? Like, you see him genuinely pondering for a moment.
Yeah, like I said, you wouldn't know her. You seem young. She's retired. Before your time.
I get yeah. Okay, well, you're not supposed to be down here. So if you could go find your mum as quick as possible. It's late. Like real late. And he looks at his watch.
Oh yeah, I know. That's why I was so concerned for that guy. You know, you should actually probably go see where he's going. He was going down those stairs, and he looked real lost. So you should probably take care of that situation.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, no, I'll go do that now. And he waits to see if you start going up the stairs before disappearing.
I start going up the stairs. And after he disappears, I duck back into that hallway.
Okay. You can duck back into that hallway. And are you heading straight back to that door, that room?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can open that door pretty easy. It doesn't actually seem to be locked or anything like that. As you open it, it's a very dull lit room. There's not much here at all, but there is a small pile of just stuff. Looks to be stuff that's just been chucked. You can see how it's all been, some of it's been cleared out, some of it's in boxes, some of it's in crates. You can see Tuva's backpack, which is just, it looks to be like most of this is organized, but this has just been chucked in. You roll an intellect check for me, please. Okay. As you do, you also see Noah's satchel thrown into one of the boxes. You can see 2 library books that are very overdue peeking out. You can see his jacket. And you can see a few other things that you recognize. You don't recognize from people specifically, but you've seen them sat in your library.
Someone has been doing some thievery, it seems. Those look awfully overdue. And Paula will try to collect as much of the stuff that she recognizes from the library and try to put as much as she can into Tuva's satchel. Like, try to pack it as much as she can.
Mm-hmm.
And after claiming all that stuff, she'll probably try to see if she can figure out where she saw that other watcher go from before.
Okay. Can you roll me, you've got perception, could you roll perception for me, please?
I'm actually gonna put stuff from my pool.
Okay.
I'm gonna use 2 points from my pool because I really want to find this guy. There we go.
Yeah.
Finally, it's about
Okay.
time.
You can see it's sort of like a glowing light from down these steps. And you can see another sort of spiraling staircase set down. And you can start to head down there. Reese, you have come down to this other level. And there seems to be a lot less watchers on this level. It is mainly those who can't speak, and they seem to see you. You do, however, see, whilst you're walking, a watcher disappear up another set of stairs, leaving off in another direction, with a red backpack that you saw on the little girl earlier, the one you rescued. You hear a conversation, maybe it's so far away in the distance, and then that same watcher comes back down the stairs and starts heading in the opposite direction down another corridor.
We're gonna go follow him.
Okay. You can follow this. What he doesn't seem to be necessarily paying much attention to what's around him, and you get this strange sort of haze is still around you, even though it's getting weaker and weaker since this woman left. And you see him walk over to the door. A door that seems to be just open, and a seer stands by it. This person, completely shaved head, painted white, gold dripping down it, and these very plain white robes. And they're muttering something to each other. Could you roll an intellect check for me, please? This can be a perception if you have perception.
What about listening?
Yes, listening is good.
I'm gonna spend some points, I think. 11.
11. Okay. You hear footsteps coming up from behind you. And you can see that Astrid moves almost in the same moment that you do. And Paula, you're coming down this corridor, and you can hear a slight sniff and a low rumble of a growl. And Reese, you can definitely hear those footsteps heading down these steps.
Oh crap, it's another Shadow Creek.
If Paula says that, you hear that, Reese. Yeah. Reese, you probably see what looks like the edge of Paula before she ducks behind part of a wall again.
Reese will try to get her attention without drawing the attention of the Watcher or the Seer. He'll probably try and move over to where she ducked around the edge.
Oh.
Paula.
Oh, hi. What
are
you
you
doing
here?
down? What are you doing here?
I'm trying to find Tolan.
I'm trying to find Tuva.
I mean,
backpack.
that too, but I think we need Tolan.
Well, I think we need Tuva.
Let's agree to agree and disagree.
Astrid sits.
Okay, let's find both Tolan and Tuva. How does that sound?
That's what I'm saying. But I think we need Tolan first.
Okay. Do you have any leads, or are we shooting in the dark?
Well, I was following a watcher and letting Astrid help, and then instead of explaining anything else, he just looks down at Astrid and, do you still have him?
And her nose immediately turns in the other direction and starts snuffling off.
Back that way.
After you?
You would follow Astrid then.
Same with Paula.
Okay. You can both sort of head Scooby-Doo style down this corridor. As you head in this direction, and you find yourself that this corridor is sloping downwards, and you can hear Tolan's voice. He seems to be having a conversation with someone and adamantly refusing any information until his demands are met. There doesn't seem to be a watcher at the door, but the door itself is closed.
Reese makes as to burst through the door.
How are you going to do it?
He like full on just moves towards the door and slams it open and bursts in.
Okay, can you roll a mic check for me, please?
Boop. Oh, a 4.
Okay. As you do burst through this door, you sort of hit it the first time and you don't quite go through, and then you take another run up with it, and Colin, that's the knock at the door you hear as the seer moves towards to open this door. There is a bang, and then on the next turn, as the seer goes to reach and touch the handle, Reese, how do you come through this door?
Like just shoving the door open, like you know, like just when you push the door hard enough that if it hits the wall, it's gonna swing back. And he steps through so that it can't swing back in his face, and he just looks around the room very quickly and spots Tolan. Probably, Tolan, we need to go.
Yes. What happened to the seer?
The seer has completely been flattened effectively as he sort of glid over to the door. And as this crash happened, you saw him get knocked backwards and stumble over one of the chairs, hit his head hard on the floor, and he's alive, but he's not moving. It's like he's been knocked out. And this door, you can see at the top hinge where it looks to be like Reese has come straight through it, throwing full body weight has come off the hinge.
Are we getting out of here? And does someone have the phone so they can call, see if Aggie's okay? I don't know if they've let her free yet. I don't know. That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to get confirmation. I don't want this. If this deal goes sour, they could kill her.
I've got it. And I'll like peek out from behind Reese, like with my phone.
Yes, you know how to use one of those.
Listen, I found out they have Charlie downstairs further, I think. They have Tuva somewhere in roughly the same area. There's, I don't know how many people, but there's a lot of things we need to talk about. We just don't have time now.
Yes, let's hope Aggie is either free or somehow can take care of herself. Tolan's torn, but also sees that this is a way out, especially since he was getting a lot of not what he was hoping to get from the seer as far as about them getting taken into the machine or getting taken to anyone who knows about the machine, that this is truly like the religious arms. So sorry, Aggie, if this works out poorly, let's go.
While Paula's like calling, she'll like put the phone, like cover the microphone and be like, you guys might want to consider hiding the body somewhere before we leave.
Yes. Can we see if I don't have anything? Do you have anything to tie him up, baby, or gag them?
Reese just he takes his knife out and cuts the sleeve of his shirt and rips it off for a gag.
I open up, well, no, tie her with that. I've got the perfect thing. He pulls out like 6 of Aggie's old toffee cookies and just shoves them in his mouth. It's like, that will take long enough. It's like when those get old, they're like...
Yeah, you can gag this guy and sort of drag him and like drag him. You can easily tie his hands with the sort of your sleeve as well, Reese, as you can drag him at least to the other side of the door so that if someone walks past, they can't see anything really wrong with the room. And where would you go after this?
We need to go down, I think, more. Does anyone have something of Charlie's for Astrid to use?
I'll kind of like start digging through the bag. Like, was there anything that I saw that looked like Charlie's from the stuff that I grabbed?
Oh, Tuva's?
Or maybe Tuva's bag?
Tuva was stealing Charlie's stuff all the time.
Maybe she could smell Tuva's bag, because I don't know, Tuva and Charlie were really close, so that might be close enough.
Astrid, can you find them?
Roll me an intellect check and we'll just see how much or what it is, who it is that Astrid picks up.
I'm going to spend an advantage.
Okay.
12.
Okay. You can see Astrid sniff, and she sticks her whole muzzle in this bag as you're holding it, Paula. Almost like really, you have to almost really hold on to it as this huge direwolf gets half of its head in this rucksack. You can see when sort of she pulls out again, there's sort of a bit of a tumble of what looks to be like a deck of tarot cards, a lock, and a lot of sandwiches that seems to be coming out of this bag. And there's a pause where you can see her. Oh, hello, Raiders. Oh, hi. There's pause where she takes the scent and she looks to you, Reese, before darting off down the other end of the corridor at a high speed. And for
Reese
you,
just follows.
So for you, Reese, she doesn't normally run. If anything, this is an animal's instinct of something is wrong.
Yeah, I don't think Reese even spares the second to be like, we're going now. He just follows as soon as she runs off.
Mm-hmm. What's the rest of you doing?
Totem will follow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Paula's like trying to like zip up the bag and not let anything fall out.
You're used to juggling 6 bags to work every day.
Oh no, Paula's an expert bag lady. Like, she's not struggling, but she's, you have to get into. You always have to do some like weird like arm movements when you want to like zip up a bag while moving. So she's, but yeah, she's an experienced bag lady. So I doubt that she has any issue.
Yeah, you're like running and packing at the same time as you're like throwing it over your shoulder.
And on the phone.
And I have like my phone like this, like doing that kind of situation.
Yeah, you're running down this corridor. You can hear it like ringing and ringing and ringing. And you keep ringing and no one picks it up. Charlie, you're sat in this room with this person. He looks slightly nervous around you. He looks to be maybe an older watcher, but maybe not as experienced or has dealt with magic, largely. And he's watching you intently. You can see a gun on his hip, which his hand is hovering. Well, it's more resting, hovering, clenching his fist out of nervousness. He doesn't look like he's going to go for it. It's almost like a safety thing for him right now, as he's just seen you explode all of these screens around him.
How as she kind of did that little like outburst, I suppose, as Chris left, she like rocked back on his chair and like let out this frustrated sound. How much movement does she notice with her feet?
You notice that you have full movement of your left, but just a little bit, like almost like if you wiggle or force enough, the right one would go as well. It wouldn't take much.
Okay. What else is around?
You see a lot of wires. You see a lot of screens, now broken glass. There's huge, big metal containers. There's a table and chair where it looks like maybe someone has sat here before and maybe interrogated. It looks like that sort of room. There's an empty cup of coffee on the table. And there's the watcher in the corner of the room. It looks like he's chosen the furthest corner away from you, as he sort of stands on watch, and he's closest to the door, like he's by the side of the door.
Okay. I would like to wiggle them feeties and see if I can get any looser.
Okay, roll me a might, please.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you wiggle them free. Effectively, you sort of you can easily watch the watcher the entire time and keep eye contact even if you want to. You can tell how awkward he feels. You realize your left leg is completely free, and with the extra sort of judder, you manage to snap off the thing holding your right.
Okay. I kind of want him to come over here. If I try to like rock this chair back and forth, can I? I'm just making a mess as much as I can. Try to just like move this chair around and like even kind of like off its legs to either side, and I'm honestly just watching this guy just like, what you gonna do about it?
Yeah. You roll me another mic check, please, just to see how you do this. Yeah, you're like shaking this, like as you swing on this chair, moves, he's going, whoa, what are you doing? Stay still. Stay still. And you can see his hand is going for the end, it's not drawing it, but he's holding his hand out. It's like, stop what you're doing.
I keep at it. I'm just staring.
You can see him getting nervous. He's like, I will pull this. And he's like making like these awkward threats.
And what? If you kill me, you lose your battery.
I don't have to kill you with it. And he sort of starts pulling it out. You can see it's shaky. It's not like good. He doesn't. You can also probably guess this watch is probably not fired a gun before.
Yeah,
new thing.
I feel like not many have. These are new. Okay, I'm gonna keep at it.
Okay. I am going to offer you a
trying to annoy him.
Which is up to you.
Huh?
I'm going to offer you a GM intrusion.
Okay.
Okay. You have 1 XP to gift to another.
Not giving him to Reese.
Okay. You're rocking this chair backwards and forwards, and this gun is shaking in his hands as he sort of quivers. And he's looking at you, like, dead in the eye, like he's really trying to will you to stop. And the moment you make that eye contact, his eyes roll into the back of his head and he drops down to the floor. And the gun clatters across the stone floor. And you see the door handle start to open and twist on the other side of the room.
Joe just kind of like rocks and then sits still.
Yeah, there's like a as you sort of slow, you almost feel one of the legs wobble as if it was about to break as you sit down.
I just brace my feet.
And you see this man laying in front of you. His breath seems to be quite ragged as he's breathing. He looks as though he's passed out. His eyes have rolled back into his head. And the door opens. Boots walk in. Charlotte walks over. Goes and kneels down by this watcher. Picks up his gun and puts it in her belt. And you see her slowly rest her hand over his forehead and over his eyes. And you see his chest stop rising and falling altogether. And she looks up at you. And there's a difference that you see for a moment in her eyes compared to Christopher's. You can tell they're twins. They look so alike. It's ridiculous. But there's something about her eyes that make her look a little bit more wild. And you see almost a static run around the irises as she makes eye contact with you. And like on the beach, you start to feel that headache starting to grow. As she looks at you and stands, hands behind her back, dressed smartly in this suit. And she just looks at you, and you can feel that headache growing.
Frustrated as she is, she's going to like do one more like big old rock like in her direction and honestly lash out at her with like some sort of magic. I'm not sure what's gonna come out, but it's yeah. She hurt my friends. I'm frustrated.
Okay.
I guess I roll. It would be an onslaught, I suppose, because there's. Well, actually, I think the broadcast worked like well enough in her mind last time that hell, if it damages the stuff more, great.
Yeah.
And it's more in like retaliation than anything else. So yeah, with advantage, because why not? And you know, with effort. Okay, when I spent XP last time, I upped the value of my effort. So does it just cost less, or does it make the difficulty go down?
It's basically the same. It costs less to pass, effectively.
Okay. So I can spend 2. think. But I'm not sure if I need any more again.
There's our Julie.
There it is.
We'll just like see if it does any better. Does the same. Okay.
Such a Julie thing to do.
Me, I'm back.
Describe what it is that Charlie is doing as Charlotte watches.
I think as she like probably rocks this thing over. It tips over with this effort, I suppose, and the same sort of crackling, staticky energy kind of disperses from starting at her hands and just outward, like as far as she can make it reach.
Okay.
Like
so
maybe it could break her concentration even is like the idea. It's just this general disruptive force.
Okay. As you do this, you send out almost like a wave. It's like a pulse through the room. And as you do, the screens that were remaining burst and collapse. Some of the wires just drop from the screens themselves. And you see Charlotte physically get thrown back. She doesn't fall over because she sort of braces herself against the wall the other side. And she manages to do that. And that headache of yours is gone. It's almost like your head is so clear right now. And she looks at you again, almost like in a bit of a shock, as if she didn't expect that come sort of straight out and hit her. She thought she wasn't going to be knocked over. And she sort of rights herself, shakes it off, and looks at you again. You don't feel a headache. You don't feel anything like that. You genuinely feel she's looking at you to see you.
Just growling at her. just like tipped over in this
Yeah. You're like laying in this chair. Like one of the chair legs is definitely snapped off now where you've done this. Both of your legs are free. And Charlotte walks over to you and sort of squats and crouches down and sort of tips her head to look at you. You haven't changed at all. And she puts a hand on your forehead and using my crit success feel a shooting pain almost vibrate through your body. And she holds it there for a moment, almost not letting you pass out. She smiles, removes her hand, and you black out.
You have time.
Reese, Paula, and Colin, you're following Astrid. And she seems to be running deeper and deeper into the church, into these caverns. And Colin, you recognize them. You start to see these strange drawings on the surface of the rock. Old drawings that you might have seen during your travels as a seeker. You see very primitive sketches of what looks like maybe a season tree, of mountains, of the running man and the huge winged creature that follows, and those guardians.
So do these look like they are like originals, or that someone has painted, someone has copied them onto the stones here? Does this look like old, ancient, actual drawings at the church?
this looks like originals, and that the church has been built on top of something, and this is like carved into the earth rather than anything else.
Where's the church in relationship to the season tree? Like, how close?
It's not super close, but you can guess there's got to be some tunnels underneath it at some point, because the tunnels stretch what seems to be in lots of different directions. You would probably know at some point there were, because of the old canon, you would have known there's going to be tunnels everywhere, ones that maybe people have never even walked in for thousands of years.
Have I ever seen, I'm trying to figure out if if this bears a resemblance to other wells that I've seen, where in my brain I'm almost like Stonehenge, that the well's in the center and that there are, you know, places around it that might be where primitive people had.
You've definitely seen drawings like this before.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you sort of at the back of your mind, you're trying to work out if you've seen drawings of the Guardians before, or that you just haven't acknowledged them before because you hadn't seen it, like you've never.
Right, not necessarily that I'm seeing the drawings, because I've seen them elsewhere. What I'm trying to think of, have I seen another site like this in Karnan, that Karnan might actually have multiple, you know, if the season tree is in the center, that the church is a part of a ring or something around the season tree, is kind of where my brain was going, is, you know, if
Karnan, you wouldn't have seen anything else.
Okay,
this is probably the first set you've seen in Karnan. You've definitely seen them you've seen them on other places you've explored.
Right, and they've always been near a well. I mean, like right at a well. I mean, is this weird that the season tree's over there and that these are here?
No, it varies. Okay. You find it varies.
Okay, cool. Just double checking, just getting it in my head.
And to clarify, did you say that these is similar to what Paula saw in the library, or?
The most is probably the running man with the winged creature.
So we're going deeper and deeper.
Mm-hmm. Does Tolan stop and look at them though?
I mean, I'm not going to lose my group. So as much as I can decipher as we go by, I mean, I'm going to mark and remember that I saw these, but I mean, at this point it's follow Astra, which I assume is at high speed.
Astrid is running and Reese is almost completely by her side. Paula's got phone going, bag on shoulder, also sprinting. And Reese, you could see where Astrid has almost come to a skidding halt up ahead. You notice that the stone beneath your feet now is not really cobbled. It's not like an actual path. This looks dug into the earth. This looks more like dirt than anything else. But she comes very much to a door.
Why is there a door down here?
A stone door.
Does this look like anything I've ever seen on my travels?
You've seen stone doorways and things like that. Normally in very, very old buildings. Like most of the time you wouldn't have to get through one because they would be in ruins. So you'd normally just walk around it effectively. But you can see different patterns on them and things like that. You know that there's normally like a pressure point or something like that near the bottom of the door or somewhere that usually opens it. This isn't an immovable door.
He'll look back at everyone else for a second. Give me a second. I think I can open this, but we should probably expect trouble.
Could you roll me an intellect check, please, Reese? And this can be perception or listening if you want to do something with it.
Oh yeah, if I can use listening, I'm gonna use listening.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to just... Yeah, a 1.
Okay. On a TM intrusion, you pause and you're looking all over this door. You're looking around the edges. You can feel like air coming through the sides, in like the gaps in between the stone. And Paula and Tolan, you can be close behind, and you can see Reese doing this. And Reese, on the other side of this door, you can hear voices. Many, many voices. And there is a moment as you're feeling around this door, you realize there's a real mixture in here. There's male, female, and children's voices on the other side of this door. And as you sit there trying to figure it out, you hear that crunch of stone as the door starts to be opened to the other side.
He steps back quickly. I think he has his knife out defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's opening it.
Does it look like there's anywhere to go? Like, is it just this door at the end of this hall, or?
You can see almost like not a corridor off to the side, almost like nooks where there's like been storage in places. It's not like a corridor you can run down, but you can attempt to hide. Would anyone like to hide?
Tolan, I think, would, watching Reese do this. Can I help? Is there anything I can do? And can I use focused just to sort of see if I can spot any details for getting the door open? Because I'm not listening. And unfortunately, focus makes me not know about danger, but maybe he's trying to get the door open. I'm trying to help, but unfortunately that narrows my focus down.
Okay.
If I'm able to, or is it not big enough for both of us to get in there?
What, to see how to open the door? Okay. Yeah. Roll an intellect check for me, please.
Okay, so I'm going to use focused, which gives me an asset, and I'll use an advantage. I'm not going to spend effort on this though, because even with the 7 puts me at 8. 13 was what it was going to be.
It was what it was going to be either way. Yeah, you look and you're so focused as you find the small pressure point. You can see that strange symbol. It doesn't really mean anything to you at the moment. You don't recognize it. You know that some of these things have individual to the sites. So much so you don't even notice Reese jump up and jump back with the blade drawn. As this door, the first thing you know about it is, as you see down in this corner, the door opens a slight bit, that crunch of rock on rock, and a boot appears.
Oh, look, I've got it. Oh.
And
can Paula attempt to hide in the what was it, cupboard, cubby holes?
Yeah, roll a speed check for getting there.
Tolan had a puzzle to solve. He was not paying attention to what that meant. Woo!
Yeah, Paula, you see this door start to open. You see Reese react, and you see Astrid immediately go into this stance. And you manage to slide and tuck behind this slight bit of wall, and there's also like a crate there as well, which looks like it was once there for storage. But you are able to drop the bag by the crate, it's still hidden, and drop down beside it and press the wall. As these pair of boots walk out of this door, this stone door, as it pushes open.
Tolan's
And you
just...
see...
Go ahead. Would you say Tolan's just like staring at these... Oh. And starts to look up.
You see 6 watchers look down at you. And then they make eye contact with you, Reese. And they just look slowly to Astrid, whose snarl is up, like the teeth are bared. There is a serious growl coming from her as she sort of prowls forward. And the watchers they're more in shock right now that there's a man on the floor trying to figure out how to open the door and a man with a knife and a giant wolf the other side. But they all have at least the front 3 draw their pistols and point them at you. And look, get up.
How close together are they? Like, I mean, because the door's just cracked open. Are they like all but shoulder to shoulder, all but touching?
They've pushed the door open quite a bit. There's 3 almost more in front, and there's 3 behind them, more in the room, like as if they were just coming out afterwards, not fully close to them.
How pressed together are they?
I suppose the front 3 are quite pressed together, but the other 3 are at the back.
Tolan reaches out that capacitor and jams into one leg and hopes he gets it to leap to at least 1 or 2 more to at least stun them to give us a second of surprise. Okay. Basically tase the front one, hoping it leaps to a couple more.
Roll a might check for me. And whilst this is happening, Reese, what are you doing?
I think Reese would... I don't know specifically if it would be a word or something, but he'd give Astrid the signal that it's okay to attack.
Okay.
I'm going to spend an auto success.
Auto success. Okay. You basically jam this because you're down by the leg. You manage to slam it right into one of the ankles, and 2 of them fall back. And Reese, you hear a yell as Astrid launches herself, almost like taking them all down, taking out like bowling pins through as she leaps through the door. You see 2 of them almost like in shock, like get zapped. One of them falls off, one of them completely drops what they're holding and fall back. And there's a moment where you can hear a real snarl in the other room as Astrid has burst through on top of 2 of these, but a paw on each chest. But there is one still standing, very shaky, pointing a gun at all of you.
Well, Reese would have, as Astrid leapt, Reese would have moved as well, and he would move past whoever's knocked down from either the shock or Astrid, and he's going to scoop up one of the guns in his free hand, and he'll be behind Astrid, pointing his new gun at whoever this is.
Okay. You pick up this gun, and as soon as your hand touches that gun, the light from it disappears. And Astrid, you can see like she's got a paw on each chest, and this man behind, you can see 2 of them knocked out as Tolan is probably still on the floor, like where this has happened, and you can see Astrid snarling, and this man with the gun is pointing at you, still lit up. But call it off, or shoot, call it off.
Put the gun down. Drop whatever that is, and I'll call her off.
And you can see him stumbling over his words. He said, "No. What? How do I know that if you don't, you call her off first? How do I know?
How do I know that you won't? How do I know you won't attack us?
How do I know she won't attack me?"
Tolan shoots him with his gun.
Okay, roll a might check. Or roll for the...
is it speed or might, or what is it?
It should be, I think it's speed.
Speed is what we put it down as. I'm going to spend an effort, because he wants to shoot the gun out of his hand. So I'm going to spend an effort, which I know probably to try to do a non-lethal, just disarming shot.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I do not have an asset on that, but I am going to spend effort on speed. I only have 1 effort to spend. That costs 2 speed, and it's been a while since he's used a gun. I'm not going to use advantage since I used an auto success in the last one. I just want let's see how he does first time shooting, because he's a little nervous too, or maybe not.
Yeah, you fire off, and it does hit the gun, but it hits the hand of this man. As you can see, you do see some blood just sort of splatter across, and he cries out and drops his gun, sort of clutching his hand close to his chest as he sort of backs off, like really sort of like holding himself, if you know what I mean, backing off, like panicking, not saying any words at all as he backs away. He's like, don't come in here, there's kids in here, and he sort of starts backing away further.
Why would you have kids down here? Those things aren't toys that you're waving around.
He is not comprehending you at all. The pain in his hand right now, you can see a hole has gone straight through it as he is his eyes are welling up, but he's more sort of looking down in shock at his hand, and you can see the blood go across his uniform, and he's backing away. He's not running away, but he is backing right away.
Unless someone else would like to do something, Reese is gonna try and get up close and pistol whip him with this gun that he's assuming, because he doesn't know how this works, but the light went off. The light on the other guys was still on. He's gonna assume that it's not gonna work for him.
Yeah,
so
roll a might for me.
I just want to cold cock him and knock him unconscious if I can.
No problem.
I'm gonna spend some effort here.
By the way, Paula would have, when she heard the gunshot, like stepped out from her hiding spot and just stood behind it.
You see it go off, and you see,
Natural 20.
Nice.
On a well, describe it for me, Mal. How do you walk up to this guy he's more looking at his hand than you as you approach?
Yeah, so I think because Reese has the knife in one hand and this gun in the other hand, so I think he just like flips the whatever the barrel around is so that the handle's out, and he just clocks the dude in the jaw to knock him unconscious, or like right here, right in the artery.
Yeah,
because that'll put you down real fast.
Yeah, you sort of Paula, you come out in time to see Reese completely clock this guy in the head, and this guy just drops to the floor, onto the stone floor. You can see where there seems to be 2 people groaning in the corner where Talon shot them on the way in, and also a few of the others that have currently are pinned to the floor by Astrid. Is there anything you could do, Paula, if you see this?
What do we see?
You currently see a very dark room. There is what looks to be dancing lights, lots of different colourful lights, and you can hear sounds of children. And some of the lights start coming on in the room. And these kids look to be maybe 3-4 years old. And they've got these little, they looks like a classroom. You can see desks set up. You can see almost like a play area set up. And these kids have wandered back into the room after hearing the commotion. This doesn't seem to be like they were in the room at the time. You can tell these are magic users. Every single one of them. And each one stands there looking confused, very fearful. And they all have little colours of wisps of magic beside their heads, sort of swimming around them, as their anarchways haven't formed fully yet. And they watch. And there's a pause moment as another watcher comes into the room and looks down at them. This older woman, probably not as old as Aggie. But, okay, darlings, back into the room we go, and sort of starts guiding them away. And you see her take them into another room and close the door. And she looks at you. Hello. She just looks at you.
What in the world are you doing?
I'm teaching.
Down here, under the church.
What in the world are you doing with a direwolf attacking watchers in front of children?
Where are their parents?
They don't have any. Now, are you looking for something in particular, or would you mind leaving? They are at a very specific age that is crucial to their development.
What is your intent with these children?
Why so many questions?
Why no answers? Why the secrecy? Why the lies?
Why are you down here?
We were brought here.
No. No, you were not. You have walked down here, barged through my door, and attacked the people looking after these children. In my head right now, you have come in and assaulted the Watchers. I am here to protect the children. And I will.
Where is Tuva?
Who is Tuva?
I looked to Paula.
She has a red panda in an aquay. You might have seen her around here.
And she looks to you, and she's very stern. In case you hadn't noticed, none of the children have their anarchwe formed yet. They are not old enough.
The last child who was with the church, their anarchwe was all but drained, and they came back with strange marks upon them, like scars.
And who was this?
Tuva.
Where has this information come from?
My own eyes.
Well then, with my own eyes, I do not know who Tuva is. With my own eyes, you have walked in and you are the ones who have attacked. Leave.
Reese, why did your dog bring us here?
And Astrid is sort of not snarling anymore, but watching this woman intently. What is it you seek? That maybe you will leave these children alone.
We seek to find out what the church is doing, why they're involved with the shadow attacks up above, and I believe stealing, severing anarchwe from magic users and children.
Do you see any severed anarchwe here?
I do not. What terrifies me is that you're waiting for them to form so that you can sever them.
And she pauses, sort of like really pulls like a frown. How could you even think that? I am a teacher.
In tunnels buried under the church, there is a whole academy. If you are so interested in teaching, there literally is an entire university on the other side of town dedicated to teaching children whose anarchwe are forming. Yet here you are, under the church, in a stone room, behind a stone door, guarded by 6 watchers. You never asked yourself what you are doing here?
I'm teaching children. You may question the church and its methods. Have you ever questioned the academy?
Oh, I left the academy. I've certainly questioned the academy.
Then I will not send the children there.
Have you never questioned the church?
Of course I have.
Then what do you think is going on here? You tell me.
I'm not telling you anything. I am here for the children, not for someone who barges in and threatens their safety. All of you. Now, let me get on with my job. If you pass by, do so quickly.
What happened to their parents?
They don't have parents. I am a teacher.
What happened to their parents?
And she just looked, why do you think I have all the answers?
You're the one who has a room full of children.
And she looks at you again. I stress again, I am a teacher. I look after children. I educate them. Please move on. My only interest is in their safety and learning. Sometimes it's best not to ask these questions if it keeps them safe.
I look to Paula.
Listen, I know a thing or two about teaching kids. I run the library at the academy. I can assure you that at least everything I do is by the books. I don't know whether these kids... I don't know what's best for these kids, but I know that keeping them locked underground probably also...
Underground. Please understand, I am here to look after them. And if that means this, please don't ask me questions.
Guys, I think we should go. I believe her. And I think that, I don't know, I
mean, if you want, Polly can roll an intellect check. I'll let you use perception.
I'm actually going to use an advantage.
Okay. Okay, jeez. What's happening with your rolls tonight? On a 3, this woman looks scared. This woman doesn't look as though she's fully in the know, but she looks scared. And you can see her fists are clenched and she's standing her ground. And she's standing in front of that door she's just ushered the children into.
Listen, the church is a big place and I don't think they're all bad. And we might be jumping to conclusions here. I mean, the archdeacon is out here somewhere and, you know, and I know he would never be okay with any of the things that we've seen. You're muted, Talon.
Talon walks out as soon as she says about the archdeacon being her, such a wonderful misunderstood guy.
Which way are you going? Are you going further into the room? Because there was a door the other side.
Well, no, I was
or are you
literally
going
back out into the hallway.
Okay.
I mean, this lady's in, I mean, I guess the problem is we're at a dead end passage, right?
No, there's a door the other side of the room.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess Tolan goes across the room and opens the door. I mean, is it a normal door or is it a stone door again?
It's a normal door. It's just a normal door.
I guess Tolan will just walk. Yeah, he just wants out, knows he can't go back because that's the church back the other way. So crosses the room and tries to open the door, I guess.
You can open the door. It seems pretty easy to open. It's just like a normal wooden door. If the rest of you cross as well, this woman watches you the entire way, sort of pressed up against the door she was by.
While everyone was talking to the teacher, Reese would have gotten down in front of Astrid and kind of grabbed her face and looked at her. Are we going further, or is it here?
And you can see in Astrid's eyes, they're like darting around the room, like she's confused. That she's not sure what. This may not have been what she expected to be in here. But you can tell that she still has Tuva's scent, and Tuva came through here at some point. Whether it was known to the woman, whether it was by force, you don't know, but she is now looking towards Tolan, the way Tolan has gone.
He gives her a couple of scratches. It's okay. Let's move on.
And she looks worried, almost like she's second-guessing her own sense.
Yeah, so he scratches her and says that, and then he follows Tolan.
And Paula, what are you doing?
Before moving on to follow them, Paula would walk up to the teacher.
She sort of stands, I say upright, sort of backs away a tiny bit, but...
No weapons. I just want to apologize. I think everyone, I mean, we're all a little on edge. And if you really are educating these kids, just, I don't know, just make sure that they get a well-rounded education, and make sure that you teach them to always look at both sides of the coin.
She just sort of nods for a moment. I'm a teacher.
Yes, you are a teacher. And Paula will pull out some of the books that she from Tuva's bag that she found, like the library books. Here, these are from the university library. I don't know what kind of library you guys have down here, but I mean, these look like they're really overdue, and I don't know, maybe you can bring them back to the library and return them when you're done.
She sort of nods, very wide-eyed, and looks down at them for a moment before very slowly taking the books, not really knowing what's going on, and then just watches you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is a really uncomfortable situation, and don't worry, we'll get rid of the bodies when we're done.
And she looks at the people who are groaning on the floor, like, no, I'm sure they'll be fine in a moment.
I think Reese finally turns around. He's like, Paula, come on.
Okay, I gotta go.
She sort of very nervously nods. And you can disappear through the door. Outside the church, sort of not quite at the steps, but near the base of them, Jin stands looking up at this huge building, and under her breath is just like, I'm coming, Tuva. And you see that stalk stand sort of very tall and start to glow blue. And then another woman steps into vision, Paula's mother. She walks forward in no longer in her pajamas. She is in jeans, t-shirt, and an old jacket, a very old jacket. And Jin spots her, smiles, and runs over to her, throwing her arms around her in a hug. Arma sort of shoves her back. I thought you were dead, or at least still in the Summer Isles or something like that. What the hell is this? And Jin rests a hand on Arma's shoulder. It's been a long time, my friend. I really missed you. And walking down the center of the cobbled street past the season tree towards them with bags and all manner of things. Hello, darlings. It's been a long time. Are you ready? As Aggie steps forward, she hands Arma her old gear. She gives Jin a little bit of a rub on the back and a smile. Arma looks to Aggie. I thought you were dead as well. We need to have a talk after all of this. Also, I'm out of practice. I don't have any of my things anymore. And Aggie hands her a suitcase. It's like riding a bike, darling. You never really forget. And the three of them walk up to the door together. As Arma smiles. I know the routes. I know the passages in the church, just like last time. Aggie smiles. The two guns that she has strapped to her side and one to her back, the one that's been hiding in the bread bin, the other one she's been keeping hidden in the umbrella stand, and the other one that's under the floorboards. And Jin smiles. The stork sort of steps forward, almost in front of all three of them. Do we knock? Says Aggie. And Jin smiles. And from within the church, even you, Charlie, hear this. It's sort of what wakes you up, is there is a huge explosion on the top level of the church as the huge wooden doors cave in and some of the tiles of the roof shudder and fall. And that is where we leave Walls of Dunera this week before the finale. So, okay. Yes, thank you everyone for watching. We ran over just by a little bit. I'm sorry. This is rerun every single Friday. So please come join us in chat when we do. Also, please check out our Discord. We have a channel purely for Dunera where we all like to go shout and talk about our favorite bits and talk about our theories and all of those sorts of things. Otherwise, please find us on Twitter and also YouTube. If you have missed any episode, you can go and find the playlist on YouTube. A huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors in the form of the Deck and Many. Please go check out their Humblewood right now. It's freaking love Humblewood. I read the book on the plane on the way back from Gen Con and it's amazing. And also the wonderful Mayhem Press, where you can see Dark Matter be played in Argo 7 every Thursday. Otherwise, keep cooking emotions and we'll see you then. Bye.